Good evening. This meeting for the Planning Commission for the City of East Ridge for September the 4th, 2024 will now come to order. And can I get a roll call, please, Ms. Middleton?
Chairperson Tuggle.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Howell. Commission Member Cornelius. Commission Member Williams.
Here.
Commission Member Witt.
Here.
Thank you. And I trust everybody's had a moment to review the minutes from the July 1st, 2024 meeting. And if so, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commission Member Witt and a second from Commission Member Williams. Ms. Middleton, roll call, please.
Commission Member Williams.
Yes. Sorry.
Commission Member Witt.
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. Thank you. And I know it says next is communication and comments by the public. We're going to do this for each item as we go through it. So if you're waiting, you don't have to wait through the entire thing. So we're going to start. There are 3 items of new business. So we'll start the communication for each one of those as we get into that item. There is no old business. So we'll go directly into new business. And item 6A is consider the request from John Heinz to have the property located at 914 Mockingbird Drive, tax map ID number 170NA003, rezoned from R1 Residential District to R2 Duplex District. Mr. Howell.
Yes, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. The request to rezone the subject properties from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Residential Duplex District would be to utilize the existing structure as a short-term vacation rental. The surrounding uses to the north, south, east, and west are zoned R1 and are consistent with single-family residential structures on 1 or more acres. The minimum lot frontage, size, setbacks are the same for the R1 as for the R2 districts. The current density in this district is 1 dwelling unit per acre. The proposed density would be roughly 1.57 dwelling units per acre. Adjacent land uses to this property within 265 feet to the west of the subject property consist of multiple 2-family dwellings located at the Haven Hill Lane and the Havenwood subdivision, separate from this subject property that is located in the Harris Hill subdivision. The development form consists of 1- and 2-story single-family dwellings with individual driveways. There are currently no duplexes located on the Mockingbird Drive. The introduction of an R2 duplex in an already existing R1 zone district with no existing duplexes within the Harris Hills subdivision would create spot zoning. Therefore, staff recommendations is not to approve the request.
Thank you. Any questions from the Commission for Mr. Howell?
I don't have any at this time.
Okay.
I don't either.
And if, before we begin the public feedback, if there's a representative from the applicant who would like to introduce themselves and speak on behalf of that. Thank you. If you can come up to the lectern and give your name and address, please. And if you can take about 2 minutes and just kind of give your vision for it.
Okay. Well, hello. My name is John Heinz, and we live at 914 Mockingbird. Our intention was, I'm not sure, how this process works. So as far as the R2 duplex, that's really our intention was to be able to use the unit or our home actually as a Airbnb. So we were just going to have folks there occasionally, 10, 12 days a month, just on the weekends typically. So if we have applied for the wrong permit or something, please excuse us for that. But that was our intention on how we wanted to use the property. We live in the property. We wanted to be able to Airbnb out the downstairs, and that's really it. So, if that doesn't work and it's not possible, then it's not possible, and we're not offended. We're not hurt. I think this is a great opportunity for me to meet some of my neighbors.
That's right.
We could probably do it again sometime soon.
Sure.
Not under these circumstances, but yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we would like to pursue it if at all possible. If there's another way we can apply, we'd like to pursue it. But if not, then we understand.
Sure. And just for clarification, this commission does not give any kind of feedback specifically on short stay vacation rental. I personally don't care what you're doing with it. What we talk about is the fitment of your requested zoning for the area and whether it fits the strategic long-term plan, et cetera.
Okay.
So as a property owner myself, there are certain properties in East Ridge I would love to short-term vacation rental. The city has made very narrow requirements for that to be possible, and one of them is the zoning. To get further clarification on what that would be, you would want to discuss that with the staff, such as Mr. Howell. But zoning is one part of that, and we are only looking at the scope of whether the required zoning you've applied for is appropriate for the area.
Okay. Okay.
Outside of that, whatever you want to do with it is a good question for the city. So
Okay.
we're just volunteers. So
Okay. Well,
citizens. Sure. Thank you. All right. If anybody would like to approach and have feedback on this application, if you can approach the microphone, give your name and address. You have about 2 minutes to address. Got one. Okay. We got this gentleman and then you. So if you want to come up, please, first. Hi.
Mike Scarborough. I live at 612 Bluebird Circle. It's very close. It's not, since this has come up and I've talked to other neighbors and we've kind of chatted about it, I guess the points that I want to make are this will not be, well, first of all, I don't get a feeling that anyone really cares about Airbnb. You know, nothing against the Heights, any other, no one really, as long as it's not a nuisance. The problem that I see personally is the rezoning stays with the land. That parcel is rezoned. If the owners move, things change, then there's no recourse. And so I would, and this is all for you guys in the city, I think it's going to come up every more and more and more. I don't know what the solution would be. A R1A, a temporary variance, something that doesn't go to rezoning, because that's where I would highly disagree. I would not want to rezone the property for a specific use, although that use I don't feel in the neighborhood is incompatible. Does that?
Sure, absolutely.
Is that clear? Okay. All right.
Thank you. And I agree. And despite whether or not there are any elected officials sitting up here in this capacity, we're just the Planning Commission. So feel free to voice that as often as you would like. So, anyone else? Yes, sir. No problem. Good evening. If you can give your name and address, please, and then take about 2 minutes.
I'm Walter Hodges. My address is 911 Mockingbird Drive in East Ridge. I've resided there since 1975, so figure that out. You'll know how long I've been in East Ridge. Harris Hills, as a subdivision, was formed in 1951. Been there a long time with this zoning that as it stands now, R1, which it should be because it's all single-family dwellings, as far as I know, and I'd like to see it stay that way. And the proposal they put forward indicates that they would like to just come in and change this to R2. This might be fine for somebody, and it may be supposed to be on a limited scale. But if you start opening it up and get your foot in the door, it don't take long before you got your leg in there and the rest of your body eventually. this thing can just get out of hand. And I would hate to see a nice subdivision that was designed and has been that way for a long time to be the type of property it could get into, which is going to devaluate the property of most of us single-family dwellings people out there. And I hope that y'all would sure take this into consideration. And I know there's other people here to speak on behalf of this, keeping it like it is R1. We just don't want to see it changed. At least I think the majority don't want to see it changed.
Yes, sir.
That's about all I got to say about it.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you voicing your opinion.
I'll stand with it.
If you can give your name and address, please.
My name is Jay Desai, and I live at 910 Mockingbird Drive. And we are here at this residence for last 39 years. And we enjoy the R1 throughout the subdivision. The entire subdivision is residential R1. And if we try to do it R2, tomorrow we can put down some townhomes, which will devalue the houses by half. The one house just sold not too long ago was sold for $635,000. But if you put down townhomes, it will come down to $325,000, $350,000. And also the Airbnb, no matter how much you watch it, you might be staying upstairs and downstairs you're renting it. But sometimes the college kids or high school kids comes in and they have all kind of party going on, including the alcohol. And then sometimes it turns into fights. I have seen those at different places. And I'm just next door to it. There is one house in between me and John's. I'm pretty sure, there'll be a lot of noise even at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we don't want to see that. And the main thing is the valuation. It will tumble down pretty shortly. And like Walter says, if you allow somebody to do one thing, eventually, there are another and other. And now the Harris Hills is one of the best community, I would say, to stay with. And we enjoyed it. My kids are, from here. They went to elementary school and high school and college to Emory and all that. And we love Eastridge, and we want to keep it that way.
Absolutely.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
If he wants to put on some townhomes or something, I have a lot of land on Frawley Road. I can sell it.
I knew that was going to come in there somewhere.
Which is already approved for townhomes.
That's right. If there's anything that knows about townhomes, it's you, sir. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll add to that.
Sure.
There's a lot of property in Eastridge zoned right now for the R2.
Yes, Jay owns most of it. That's right. Yes, sir.
Leave our subdivision as it is.
I understand.
Larry Henderson, 916 Mockingbird. And I really don't have anything different to say than what's been said. I just want to voice on behalf of my family that we agree with what's being said and that we are concerned about the zoning change, and we would strongly recommend or pray that that does not happen because of the long-term impacts that may or may not occur, but why risk it?
Sure.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Anyone else? One more taker? Good evening. Your name and address, please.
Maxine Raines. My husband Arliss and I live at 917 Mockingbird Drive. We would like to, for the record, to reflect that we oppose the zoning request We're elderly and we're very concerned about safety for our family. Our next door neighbor did have a bad experience already. She's not here, I don't think, but she posted on Facebook about her experience, and it was very bad. We would not want anything like that to happen to us either. I understand those that don't live on Mockingbird, maybe they're not as concerned as we are, but we do live at 917 Mockingbird Drive, and we are opposed to the zoning. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Members of the Planning Commission certainly appreciate this opportunity is to express our opinions.
If you can
my
give your name and address, please. Yes,
My
ma'am.
name is Dr. Valerie Boaz. I live at 912 Hummingbird Lane. I've lived there a little over 30 years now. And I, too, would like to express my opposition to the zoning request change. And, again, I agree with our neighbors here and look forward to getting to know them. It's not personal at all. But, again, just with the long-term impact of a zoning change, and with current owners, things may be fine, but it may set a precedent, and again, we don't know what may happen with future owners and what they may decide to do once that zoning change has been made. Harris Hills is a very quaint, quiet, beautiful neighborhood, and when I moved there, certainly 30 years ago, I expected it to stay that way and change, and do not want to see any more transient nature with rentals in the neighborhood. It's very difficult to learn about how the neighborhood operates, the flavor and the relationships and all of that when you're renting short term. So again, I just wanted to express my opposition, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Joan Campbell at 762 Flynn Drive, and I've lived there 28, almost 29 years. I am opposed to the R2 zoning change, but I would like to request that the committee do relook into rezoning R1s for the availability for Airbnb. I have done a lot of research recently on the Airbnb, and it actually increases our property value. There is a study done by the state and the Chattanooga, or city of Chattanooga, that shows that it impacts property value and increases them. Also, too, the city of Chattanooga does allow short-term rentals in R1 if it is owner-occupied. I don't see a problem with if it's owner-occupied, if, they will control who they rent to. When you're an Airbnb host, you can be very selective, okay? So you don't have to just rent to everybody. You get a profile of the renter and what their purposes are. They have to answer questions. So it's more selective than if you are renting like to a hotel. I also think the city could use the revenue, okay? If you change your zoning a little bit, or the Airbnb, to increase a revenue to get taxes on it, I think every Airbnb owner would be fine with that. I am not one right now. I would love to be, but I just think it's a good revenue for the city. So I do agree with Airbnb, and a lot of people in our neighborhood do agree with the Airbnb. So I just oppose the zone change, but I would like you guys to reconsider the Airbnb to R1.
Thank you. I think that's been the consensus. The Airbnb is not the problem, it's the zoning. I'm following that. Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Andre Boaz. I live at 756 Flynn Drive in Harris Hills. I lived in Harris Hills about 35 years, and I just want to go on record and express my opposition to the zoning change from R1 to R2. And also regarding Airbnbs, one of the things that makes Harris Hill so attractive is that it's like a hidden gem, tucked away, and when people come and see where I live, they're in disbelief, like, I didn't know this whole area existed. And I think it should remain single-family homes and not become a profit center.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Appreciate all the residents of Harris Hills. You're all very cordial and express the spirit while still being neighborly, and that's very nice. Makes me want to move to Harris Hills, so thank you for your feedback. Glad we could host this community meeting for you this evening. And I will entertain a motion, there being no further discussion.
I make a motion to go with staff approval, staff denial, and make a motion to deny this.
Okay.
Their recommendation is.
All right, a motion to follow staff recommendation and deny. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Commission Member Witt and a second from Commission Member Williams. Reminder, a vote of yes is to deny the rezoning request. Can I get a roll call, please, Ms. Middleton?
Commission Member Williams,
Yes.
Commission Member Witt,
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. The next item is 6B, to consider the request from the East Ridge Needy Child Fund to have the property located at 4012 Bennett Road, tax map ID 168LL009, rezoned from R1 Residential District to C5 Neighborhood Commercial District. Mr. Howell.
Yes, member of the Planning Commission. The request to rezone the subject property from R1 Single Family District to a C5 Neighborhood Commercial District would be to utilize the existing single-family dwelling as office space for a nonprofit organization. The surrounding land uses consist of multifamily to the north, warehousing to the east, and single-family homes to the south and west of the property. Access to the site would be from Bennett Road, which meets requirements for access to the C5 district from a collector street. Adjacent density is 2.73 dwelling units per acre for the R1 zoned property adjacent to the site, 12.25 dwelling units per acre for the multifamily to the north of the site. In the zoning history for this area, a property at 1227 Greens Lake Road was rezoned from R1 and C5 to M2 with conditions in the year 2000, and properties at 4014 and 4016 Bennett Road were rezoned from R1 and C5 to M3 in 2013. The site is surrounded by mixed-use property, including single-family, multifamily residential, convenience store, daycare, beauty shop, warehousing, and office use. The proposed C5 rezoning would serve as a buffer between the adjacent M3 and the adjacent R1 district of the subject property. The intent of the C5 neighborhood district is for retail sales and services or other uses that provide convenience to the majority of the neighborhood and residential district. Based on staff recommendation, the rezoning from R1 to C5 is recommended for approval, with the condition that proposed use be limited to office space only, and an additional landscape buffer be added to the west of the property in the form of a 6-foot privacy fence. Parking requirements for the C5 district will be subject to review and approval by the building official.
Okay, thank you. And any questions from the commission for Mr. Howell?
Not any.
I don't either at this time.
I just have one technicality. Mr. Howell, normally in the packet there is a summary of the staff recommendation, and that's not in here this time. Could you check on that before the next one? I'm not sure why it's missing. Thank you.
Absolutely. It wasn't in the RPA staff report
No,
at all?
it gives the RPA's explanation of the staff recommendations, but the actual staff recommendation is not printed for us. So
Okay.
we only have what you tell us. So if you could look at that for the next one, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, if there's anybody from the public who would like to give feedback for this one, if you would like to approach the lectern and give your name and address, please take about 2 minutes. Anyway, this on the Needy Child Fund item, seeing no one. All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to do staff recommendation of approval.
Okay. We have a motion to approve of the staff's recommendation that it's be limited to office use only and with the western side of the property to contain a 6-foot privacy fence as a barrier.
Thank you, because I was going to ask if that motion was also approving the staff conditions.
Yes, encapsulates the staff's recommendation and for conditions, correct? Office use and western barrier, 6 foot.
That's
privacy.
correct, because if this property is zone C5, it can't
Sure.
meet the buffer requirements.
Right.
And it's limited to 5 feet, so the
Yeah.
other thing we can do for administrative remedy is to add a privacy fence.
There's just not enough room
There's
anyway.
just not that amount of
Sure.
room
Do I need to change my motion?
No, I
You're
just
fine.
wanted to
You're fine. I just
clarify
want to
that-
clarify for Ms.
Staff
Middleton's record
recommendation.
what we're voting on.
I'll second.
Okay, and we have a motion from Commission Member Witt and a second from Commission Member Williams. Ms. Middleton, roll call, please.
Commission Member Williams,
Yes.
Commission Member Witt,
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. The third item of new business is the City Council. This is 6C. The City Council has reviewed the Planning Commission's recommended changes to Ordinance 481 and has made additional changes as it relates to regulations concerning signs within Title 14, Chapter 2. Therefore, the City Council is seeking a review of the proposed original changes by the Planning Commission. Mr. Howell.
Yes, member of the Planning Commission, the proposed changes to Ordinance 481, specifically regarding signs within Title 14, Chapter 2, were presented to this body May the 6th of 2024. During that time, the Planning Commission requests the following changes for this, with the wording canopy be removed from the storefront lighting requirements, and additionally, a non-flashing open sign not to exceed 2 feet by 3 foot inside was also incorporated into it. Subsequently, the City Council has made further changes to include the following in your packet, which are highlighted in yellow and green. I don't know if you guys want me to read every bit of that for you, because there's a lot in there. I would start with just some basic stuff on it. The accent storefront lighting, which now includes the word architectural features, was added, and on the building facade was added as well. Which is defined as lighting that outlines the building or attached to or fixed to. Also, accent storefront lighting now includes the word LED as prohibited lighting. Accent storefront lighting now includes festoon lightings, which would be allowed. That's low output lighting that would be allowed in commercial districts where there is outdoor dining areas, the canopies or awnings that are attached to the building. The storefront display regulations, obviously that's all there for you guys to read. That's quite a bit for me to put out tonight, so if any questions on it, yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
I only have one real question. I mean, obviously, festoon style meets the NFPA standard for what we were trying to say when we said bistro lights, but
Yes.
I understand those are now called festoon style. Who would have known?
Style bulbs, yes.
I haven't read the NFPA lately, so my only concern is it refers to LED strobe lights. It does not categorize those. I know what they're intending to say is bright LED strobe lights are used as an outline, but considering national electric standards require us to now have LED bulbs in every fixture, it doesn't give any kind of separation. It just says LED as a blanket term. That seems problematic. Could you?
Well, the LED themselves, when we added that in there, it actually contained LED in the front of. Let me pull this page up. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's on 2 of 7.
So the accent storefront lighting, under that regulation, obviously we had originally strobe lights, lights that mimic flashing emergency lights, flashing lights, light strips, and rope lights. So the addition of the LED/strobe lights, flashing lights, LED rope lights
Oh,
were
it's a
all added to
descriptor.
it. So we're showing a description there
Okay.
of what's going to be prohibited if this is approved by City Council and the Planning Commission.
Yeah, as long as that's the spirit of which it's enforced, then
Absolutely.
sure. Okay. If only we had a representative from Codes Enforcement. Any other changes or comments?
I have none.
No, I think the changes we brought before the council.
Okay. Since I'm the only other one not on the council, then I'll go with this. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve this new lighting and sign ordinance.
Okay, I have a motion from Commission Member Witt to proceed with staff recommendation on the sign ordinance changes.
I'll second.
And a second from Commission Member Williams. Roll call, please, Ms. Middleton.
Commission Member Williams,
Yes.
Commission Member Witt,
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. There being no further new business, this meeting of the Planning Commission is adjourned.